It's a very special episode today because we're going to be bringing back Jeanne, the Credit Genie. I am so excited to have her here talking to you, whether you're someone who's got a 520 credit score or a 790 credit score. There are tips and tricks and just real action steps that Jeanne does for people every single day. So sure, you can get out there and Google it. Sure, you can do your own research. But hearing directly from an expert who helps people improve their credit scores, whether they're in what they call the fair or the bad credit score or in the good credit score, to help you realize there's always something that you can be looking at, always something you can be doing. And I have to tell you, I was shocked and surprised at one of the things that she said in this interview. Let's listen.
How to Buy a Home educates, protects, and connects first-time homebuyers to qualified vetted realtors in their area. Whether you're looking for DIY information or step-by-step guidance, How to Buy a Home is the #1 resource for first-time homebuyers.
Oh, How to Buy a Homies, I'm so excited for you right now. As you know, if you're a longtime listener, and if you are, you know that I'm old, drink right now. But you also know that I do my best to make sure that I'm taking care of you guys. And one of the things I get asked about is credit scores. And when I say one of the things I get asked about, I mean, I get asked about this most of the time. People who have high credit scores, they're also the people that need to be asking me questions about it. So this isn't just for the people in 500s who are looking to get to a place to buy a home. This is for everybody. And I'm so excited. I brought her back. You know her, you love her. You hear me mention episode 64 about every third or fourth episode. Jeanne Kelly is here. How are you, Jeanne?
I am fantastic. I love being here with you, David. Thank you for having me back.
I'm so excited because, you know, Jeanne, the Credit Genie, you know, I'm 6 years into doing this. There are so many credit score helpers, guidance, coachings that are scams. I get hit up once a week, and you are still 6 years in, the only person that I ever recommend because you just shoot straight from the hip.
I'm a New Yorker. Come on, bottom line kind of gal. And I've been in this industry over 25 years. And so I do think it's getting better. I see a lot of great people coming into the industry. So I hope some of them hit you up. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is. But yeah, 25 years, and I got into the industry because I had bad credit. And so, you know, no one taught me about credit, right? And it just got messed up, and it's hard to dig your way out. And then after I did, I said, no, I want no one to go through what I went through. And I want to give them a formula, something easy that they can cling on to and, you know, build a better credit score. And also, just like you said, I have clients who have fantastic credit scores, but they still always have credit questions.
Yes, and especially when it comes to buying a home. But before I get into that, let me back up just a minute. That's always been the reason why I've enjoyed our conversations because, one, you are a New Yorker, so we get to just shoot straight, and I love that. Number two, you are fun, so we can be playful, which is very important to me because this is such serious stuff. But you have the passion because you went through it. That's the reason why I wasted $104,000 in rent in my 20s when I absolutely could have bought a home and no one told me to. In this case, there are people out there that can and use your help, and you're not just someone with a factory where you're trying to get as many people in so that, you know, you can profit off of them. You're someone who went through it, and that's so important.
Yeah, I know. And I know those sleepless nights and the being afraid to answer the door. And because I did answer the door once and the man was going to turn off my electric. And that was my rock bottom. That one and my wipers on my car not working because I couldn't afford for the motor to have them work when it rained. So I would just sit in the parking lot after working and just say, well, I can't leave because it's raining and I can't drive. And then you really sit there and say, you got to change things. You got to change.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, I should have sent it to you and I didn't because, you know, I end up, all of my correspondence with you is, hey, here's a home and you need some help. And it's, you're so great, you and your entire team, for, my favorite thing that you do, and this is horrible for your business, and but I'm going to say it, is that you will tell people you could do this on your own. You don't need this. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that honesty, that transparency is so important if I'm going to have anybody out here. So, but a couple weeks ago, I had somebody on who she and her partner were living in a van for like 7 years, homeless. And she called me from the front porch of the house that she bought because we went through the process. And at the same time, there are 72% of the people that reach out to me that say they're 12 to 18 months away because they don't want to get a hard pull on their credit, or, they're sitting there with an 800 credit score. 72% of them over 6 years have been under contract in 3.2 months. So we could speak to everybody, the people who think there's absolutely no way, and the people who are probably more ready than they should be. Mm-hmm. And those people are the reason why I reached out to you to get you on the podcast today. Student loans. Let's talk about it. You were the first person I called. What's been going on in your world now that student loan forbearance is over and people suddenly have a bill that they haven't had for a while?
And it's going on their credit report if they haven't paid it. And my phone is nonstop ringing because they didn't know. They didn't know where to pay, or they couldn't track it down. And now they can, because it hit the credit report with like a 90-day late, because in October is when they were supposed to start paying, so, and now things are, all of a sudden it's like, hey, you haven't paid, and March 2025 leads, are hitting credit reports. And so that's what's happening. So you gotta, my number one rule is look at what's being reported about you. Look at your credit report. If you haven't in a while, make sure you do. You can do it for free, annualcreditreport.com. You can do it for free. It doesn't cost an inquiry because you're requesting it. So no hard pull for your credit score. And so look, make sure there's not, look what's happening with your student loans. You got to track them down. A lot of people, what I'm hearing? Oh, they had my college email. Oh, they had my old parents' address. They moved. Yeah, because guess what? You might have graduated a long time ago. Then there was, the forbearance all these years. No one's used to paying. No one's been trying. It's really, right now, it's a hot mess. It's a hot mess. So my advice immediately is call, get into figure this out, see what they can do for you. Don't still ignore it. That month after month after month, they'll keep reporting more late. So I do say, see what they can do. Can they put you back in? Like, if you don't have money, talk to them. They will, figure out, put in your information, your financials. Do you need, another forbearance? Do that. Income-driven plans. There's a lot that can happen, but you have to pick up the phone because you don't want new derogatory information going on in December, right? So let's get ahead of things. Let's get ahead. And, one little tip I would try, and the reason I'm saying try, and David, maybe you'll have to have me back on in a couple of months, is because this is so new that my only little tip to say is if you ask for, can you put me back in a deferment, a forbearance, something, can you also backdate it? Can you backdate it? It doesn't hurt to ask. So yes. Is that working? No idea. You're asking me in the moment, and I love sharing the information. This is just what I'm sharing. Hey, try it. And if not, if they can't, because I don't know still, well, you know what? At least we know you're not going to, in the next month and the next month, keep having lates. You are in either paying something, whether it's a small amount, they've approved you for, maybe zero, whatever it may be, but make that phone call.
Every time we have a chat, whether the microphone's on or not, I have pages of notes. So
me too.
Yeah, I know. Before we started recording, I've already got like 6 things that I wrote down about other stuff. The trigger of what's happening to people right now discovering this is so important to go back and really reiterate. Annualcreditreport.com. Yes. Go there. And we were telling everybody they should have been doing this. You should be doing it 3 times a year. You can do it for free.
Well, you can do it for free every week.
Oh, whoa. Really?
Yeah. So let's not get confused that it's annualcreditreport.com. Some people think only once a year because back in the day, but they have changed it. And right now, every 7 days, you can get your credit report there for free. And I know people could say, oh my goodness, Jeannie, I don't need to be doing that. But maybe if you're buying a home, you do. I always say, listen, if okay, I'm buying a home, I'm lowering my credit card balances, your credit card's, the balance only gets reported once a month. So don't tell your lender to pull without you knowing it's updated. And you can go on every 7 days. Check it out.
Okay, breaking news. This is like that Apple notification when there's an Amber Alert and your phone blows up and everybody's phone does that. This should be that big. I mean, because I've been here reporting the old way, which was you got one pull from each one, so you could do one every 4 months. But at one point we talked, during COVID time, and there was an expiration on when annual was going to become, gosh, they got to change that. They can't rebrand it. I'm going to run out right now and buy weeklycreditreport.com and wait for them to call me and make millions.
Yes. Before this airs, you're going to be able to
that's true. Okay.
He's writing that down.
Yes, I sure am. Okay, so expand on that. We've talked about it before, but you're here and I got you. What's the difference between annualcreditreport.com and the credit reports that you get from all the people that are selling it to people, whether it's your bank, Experian, Credit Karma? Why is Annual Credit Report better? Or, talk to us about that.
So annualcreditreport.com is sponsored by Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. So it's sponsored by them. So it's free. It's a free tool we can use. And other places, other sources you're saying, like Credit Karma, let's say, that's a marketing site. So they gather your information, whatever. So I just
no. Don't go past that. Their entire business structure is based on, I want to get as much data as I can and sell that to other people. And I want to give you a quote unquote free report so I can sell you other stuff.
So it's a marketing site. I mean, I will say there's a tool I love of theirs where they do match up your credit, like where your credit is, and maybe certain cards that you would have good odds for approval. So sometimes when we're rebuilding credit, it is a good tool so you'd be like, oh, this does match up for me. If your score's not in the 700s where you can apply for anything and get what you want. So I do love that tool. Experian actually has that too, Experian Credit Match. So, there's things like that. But your credit card company also gives you your credit score, right? So you might get a credit report and a score with it. There's many scores out there. 90% of lenders right now use the FICO scoring system. So when they give you a credit score, 90% are using the FICO score. So,
and at one point we talked about the fact that like you can have as many as like in the 20s, like 28 different credit scores.
Different versions of the FICO score, sure. Because there's auto version, mortgage. The mortgage scores are 2, 4, 5. So there's 3 of them. So that's what I'm saying. So there's a lot to it when it comes to your credit and where to get. But I mean, why not? Annualcreditreport.com, go there. I have on my, if you go to my social media, Credit Genie, I have a free credit snapshot. You can get a report there. So many ways.
I'm sitting here smiling because, one of the mortgage calculators I used for years was Dave Ramsey's.
Yeah.
I disagree with him for buying a home, but his tool works. Mm-hmm. And it's just important to understand that who is giving you something for free. And am I correct? And I don't know if we talked, is Annual Credit Report, was that originally government sponsored and now the bureaus do it, or?
I think there had to be a solution for something, and that's why they all sponsor it. I don't know.
They were given a mandate. Like, hey,
whatever it
that
is.
makes sense.
I don't know all of that. All I know is they're involved. It's free. And we can get it once a week.
There it is. Yeah, it's kind of like the CFPB, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, where they come out and they changed lending completely by saying these are the new guidelines after the 2008 crash.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember that.
Wow. Okay, so don't wait for the trigger is the big takeaway here, everybody. Most people are more ready than they think they are. And the big thing that I always tell everybody is most people think, well, I'm not going to call David and then get connected to Jeanne because, our credit's okay. Most people think that you only should be doing this, checking your credit when something bad happens. But you can do it so early. What are some of the pre-planning things that you found helpful with your clientele? Because I tell everyone, I don't care if you're not going to buy a house for 12 months. I look at it this way. Ooh, we have 12 months to fix your credit. And the only thing you can do to fix your credit is time.
Yes.
So what are some of the things that you're doing for people?
Yeah, I love more time. With someone, definitely if you want to buy a house, 3 to 6 months before, you want to be looking at your credit report. A lot of times people are saying, oh, I'm looking at school districts, I'm looking at, realtor. What about your credit report? That is so key, because the more time you have to maybe fix a problem, if there's something wrong that's on the credit report, track a debt down, you're not sure what it is, the more time, the better. If you see your balances on your credit cards are high and you didn't realize, that makes up 30% of your FICO score. So 30% of your score is regarding balances. So the lower they are, the better for the score. So you can get those BBs down. Let's say right now they're at 70% to the limit. If you could get those down to 10%, beautiful. And now you have time to do it, because you're going to be looking at that credit report knowing I've got a goal to purchase this house. It's not always just about saving the money for the down payment. How about getting that score up to open up so many more opportunities? Maybe a less down payment, right? Less PMI insurance, all of those good things. It's all based on what's that score. So let's try to make it the best it can. And, I helped someone. I was so happy I called her today, because she was buying a place in Brooklyn. And you know what? She had 700 scores, but it made a big difference to have a 720. Big difference. And, so she was over that 700. And so that's great credit. But thank goodness her realtor, who is on my podcast, I was so happy that she said, well, it doesn't hurt. Just call Jeanne. And when I looked at it and I said, you could do this, you could do that. And we made a little magic happen. So it wasn't about negative information. It was just, how can we balance this out? And it worked.
That's the thing that is so difficult to explain to people, is that sometimes it's just a restructuring. One of our old podcasts that you and I did, and again, it was like 3-4 years ago.
Yeah.
But this podcast, I have replayed, and to everybody, I remember us talking about the magic number for your available credit to try to get it down to 7% usage.
Yeah.
You had said that 7% was your magic number. And
yes.
Below 50% is when you stop getting the really bad negative, and below 30% puts you in the better position. But that 10 and 7%, when we're talking about the credit score in relation specifically to buying a home, it goes in 20-point tiers.
Mm-hmm.
So the difference between a 705 and a 721 could be a huge difference in your loan product.
Mm-hmm.
And you hit the nail on the head, PMI. I'm talking to so many people right now that are thinking about doing a lower down payment. So if they have 10% down, we're advising them to look at the 5% down payment, because then you can keep some of that cash in the bank, because your new payment's going to be higher than your rent most likely.
Mm-hmm.
And wouldn't it be nice to have $20,000, $40,000 in the bank instead of in your home, which means you're going to be using PMI.
Right.
And I have heard people getting $800,000, $900,000 homes, and their PMI is like $78. And those people have high credit scores.
Yes.
If you don't know it, PMI is directly attached to your credit score. You seriously just will pay more dollars depending on how low your credit score is. And the higher it is, they just take it off. It's like those grocery store club cards. It just is instant discount.
Right. It's amazing because your credit score is attached to so many things and you can save. I want people to feel empowered by their credit, right? Their credit is the foundation of their wealth because with a better credit score, they can save so much money when it comes to buying that home. 5 years down the road, to think of the money that could be saved with having that better score, with the insurance, with the interest on the loan, how much you put down. Instead of putting that down, it's in the bank making you money. Interest you never get back. You're never getting that money back. But you bought that same house. It's the same house, the same road. So yeah, let's save money.
Beyond the PMI, which is, dollars, tens, maybe $100 a month difference depending on your good score, you hit the nail on the head. It's the loan programs, the accessibility to more when you have a better credit score. And so let's dig into some of the things that, people can do. So many people are concerned about their hard pull and, at annualcreditreport.com, that doesn't do that. Mm-hmm. So, and you could do it once a week. So why wouldn't you be checking your score? Now, suppose you check something on your score and you found a mistake. Is that something? Yeah. What's the next steps there?
So if you find a mistake, let's just say it's on one report, let's say it's on Experian, you can contact them. And you have to look at Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax. They don't share the data. They don't share the information. So if there's a problem on Experian, don't think if you get it corrected on Experian, it's corrected across the board. No, if it's on TransUnion with the mistake, got to contact them. So contact each of them separately. You got to be organized. And if it's a mistake, it most likely will be corrected with your dispute. But if not, you can also contact whoever's putting it on. If it's a creditor you do business with, contact them. If it's a collection company that you have no idea who they are, could be identity theft, who knows? But you have to contact them if it does stay. So, it's a little bit of work, not tremendous, but that's the timing thing, right? It's all about timing. And that's why it's great to look at your credit report ahead of time. But yeah, you can dispute it directly with them.
Well, I think that's where a lot of the listeners who are thinking, again, well, I've got a 700 credit score, I'm fine. Well, we just figured out that a 7 to 720 could save you tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands over the lifetime. Mm-hmm. So if that's the case, either you can put in the work or that's where you can come in, where you and your team can put in the work, make the calls, send the letters, and do all the stuff to, for the nominal fee of what you're going to charge somebody is going to be able to save them tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars down the line. It's not just for people sitting there with the 550 who need to get their score up.
Right.
When you're talking to someone who comes to you and you're evaluating, okay, can I just give you some tips or should you really work with me? What are some of the big things that you do with people who maybe have a 600 and they want to get to a 700 by next year to buy a house?
Yeah, it's really every credit report. It's like a puzzle, putting it together and taking apart what makes up the credit score. So let's talk about that real quick. 35% payment history, how you pay your bills, on time, late, collection, right? So payment history, 30% balances. So those are the two major things, how you pay your bills and how are your balances with credit cards. Then 15% length, how long have you been using credit? 10% types of credit. Do you have credit cards and loans or just one? And then 10% new credit. And so that's a love-hate relationship I always have because new credit in the moment can drop your score a little, like a new account hitting your credit report, a new hard inquiry can drop it a little bit. But then in time, 6 months, 8 months down the road, timing, we like new credit. So, that's 10%.
Yeah, because then that adds to your mix, right? And that was 10%.
Right. So it's all about, looking at a report. And, David, that's why I love, the online courses I have, the online community where, I'll do, a live Zoom once a month with my community. And it's, what am I hearing the most that inside the community they want to hear, and open up Q&A for discussions. But that's what I love, because you know what? We're all going to use credit. So why not learn how to maximize it the best yourself? Because you can always count on you. Just learn it. I make it simple. I make it fun. It doesn't have to be, I'm not going to have to read all these credit laws to you and all that. You don't need that. Just simple little tips, but that work for you. And so that's what I love doing.
That's such a great perspective, because I feel like whether it comes to the big, gigantic process of buying a home, or whether it comes to fixing your credit, there's such a bury your head in the sand mentality.
Yeah.
And, I was on another podcast this morning, and someone was saying, it's like going to the gym. You just need to put your foot in the door the first time.
Yes.
And as I listened to that, I went, you know what? I'm going to expand on that analogy. People aren't stepping into the gym because they think that if they open the door to that gym, there's going to be one treadmill and one exercise bike. They don't realize that if they talk to a Jeanne or a unicorn realtor or a unicorn lender, it's going to be this warehouse of ideas that you didn't even know about. But the limiting belief is that, my credit's fine, or my credit's too bad, I can't do anything.
Mm-hmm.
It's the world of options that are out there for people.
Right.
And so one of the things you do is you help people dispute stuff and figure out how to get those things off your credit score. The other thing you're going to do is give them the mathematical formulas, like you were talking about, whether it comes to your credit balances. One of the things we've talked about in the past is an authorized user to help increase that, what is it? The length or the history?
Well,
it's a big one, right?
Yeah. Well, it depends, because a lot of times it's maybe someone has a thin file, meaning not a lot of credit, right?
Oh,
so
yes.
It can help. Yeah. So it helps just bulk it up a little bit. Maybe someone has, it's really mostly for that. But also, what's so funny? I had a phone call today where someone had said, Jeanne, I have to pay this annual fee on this card. And it annoys me that I have to do it because he has 800 credit scores. Okay. Beautiful credit. He's like 800. I know I asked you a few years ago, I want to close it. I said, I have to see your report. I can't just tell you. So he sends me his report, 60 pages, going through it. I'm like, wait a minute. I do see mortgages. I do see installment loans, mortgage, auto loan. I'm like, where's the credit card? Close. I'm like, you can't close this. You cannot close this because you closed all those others. Soon, in time, all those ones you closed, because some of them were closed 6 years ago, like in time, those will even fall off your credit report. What are you doing? You got to pay the annual fee now. And you better use some rewards and perks to pay that off, to take advantage of it, of course. But so there's so many things, whether it's the authorized user, whether it's closing the account, just because I said, you close that, say bye-bye 800, not maybe, and maybe not today, but in time. And you'll say, well, why is this happening? Well, now you have one open credit card.
You lost history and you lost mix.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And with an 800 credit score, my advice would be to the guy, dude, go to, Bankrate, NerdWallet, go to the Experian one where they tell you the best credit card for you, and go find a no-fee credit card.
Right.
Now, if you'd done that 3 years ago, we'd have 3 years of time.
And I told him to do that 3 years ago. I said,
girl,
please open up 2 credit cards. You have fabulous credit. So just open up 2, get back to me in a couple of years. He got back to me, but didn't do the other part.
I've ran into one of my kids' old elementary school teachers who I was helping their kids in 2022.
Okay.
And they went, it's too expensive, and they didn't buy a home. So I ran into the mom again, and she's like, my daughter is just dying. She should have bought in 2022. And I was like, well, I know it was expensive at the time, but if you're freaking out about your student loans right now, get on annualcreditreport.com. We don't have a time machine to go back and have you do that last October. So start now. My creative director on the show, JT, we were talking today about, doing some videos and things. And he brought up, sorry, I'm late. I was on the phone with my student loan people. And he's been talking to them directly, and he just got the forgiveness for the past due.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Good for him.
So he's got to push it forward, make a new payment program. But he said he finally got to, he was talking to robots for a while. Mm-hmm. And then he finally got a person on the phone.
Oh, yeah.
And
they're busy right now.
Yes.
They're busy, but you have to call. You got to put in the work. You got to tell them you're worried about the late reporting. You got to but also you want to make sure you are not going to keep adding new lates. So and it's really important.
Everybody does it differently, but they were talking about, we'll get 3 months. We get 3 months of that, then we'll go back and we'll remove all those lates. Okay. And it's a great thing.
That's fantastic.
Okay, so your story about Mr. 800 and closing the cards. Now, let's talk about Mr. 500, who is getting inundated with credit card consolidation offers. Give us the scoop on that.
Well, the thing about the consolidation, if it's not, which it's not, because when you have those low scores, it's not a loan to pay off. Like if you go to a credit union and get a loan to pay off your credit card debt, that can be a good thing. But most times you're not getting that when the score is that low. So the consolidation programs, unfortunately, the ones that I have seen are that you have to pay late, and they're like, want you to pay 120 days late, let it charge off, they say, and then maybe they'll start, and they're still taking money from you every single month. And then how it seems to work is that then they'll start settling some when it comes time that there's enough money in the bank account that you've been paying them. And they try to save you money by doing that. But you might be in this program for 3 to 5 years. And that means for 3 to 5 years, you have negative information on your credit report. So I'm not a fan of those programs. I'm trying to help people get better credit. So, my thing is, though, I do understand it. Listen, there was a time I couldn't pay my bills. So I get it, so we all have to figure it out and find out what the best option is for us. But if you want to improve your credit, that's really not the way about going about it. Sometimes we might have to get a second job. I had to do that. Because when I had to dig myself out, it wasn't just one job, and then that second job was paying off the debt and investing back into my future. But it was a lot of hard work. It was, having no fun for, a long time, but my credit wasn't getting worse by me being in those programs and me being attached to that for years. So it really, I'm not a big fan. I haven't seen one work, and I would love a company to reach out to me and show me, hey, here's the client's credit report and look at how beautiful, I ask all the time, reach out to me, show me, and then I can talk about you. But I haven't seen that. Unfortunately, I see people stuck in the program. So they're stuck in it for years and years and years. And they're still paying those things. And then, they get out. And yes, those things are paid, but the negative information does stay on your credit report for 7 years.
I was just thinking as I was listening to you, and I've never said this before, we understand why people do credit card consolidations. We are not saying that some people don't need that. Some people absolutely might need it. But a credit card consolidation is like someone throwing you a life preserver, last resort. Meanwhile, there's a lifeboat 20 yards away, which is a plan. And if you can create that plan, jump in that lifeboat, you're still going to be freezing. It's still going to suck. You're still not on the cruise ship you were on a minute ago,
Right.
But it's better than being in a life preserver. You're actually inside a small boat, and you just have to work the plan, because otherwise you're closing all your credit cards. Well, there goes all your credit mix and your credit history instantly.
Mm-hmm.
And no matter what they can do, sure, if they can negotiate your 30% interest rate down to 5%, or they can get a charge off that's 50 cents on the dollar, that's great now. But then what do you want to do when you're moving forward? Right. So sometimes it's very much like when I talk to people about buying a home, they'll reach out to me and say, I just got approved last week. We went and looked at the houses. The houses where we're approved are dumps. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, okay, well, let's back up. Let's stop talking about your approval, and let's start talking about, what do you want? Where do you want to live? What's your money situation? What are your finances? How do you guys handle money? You know, right. Are you risk takers, or are you super conservative? All of those things can change. And again, if you want more tips, deeper and more than what we're talking about today, episode 304, I go through all of the credit episodes that are up on the podcast. And episode 64, Jeannie and I did this way back in the day. And there's just so many exciting pieces that it's very much like planning to buy a home. It's not as much work as you think it is. Mm-hmm. And if you really want to, you just pay somebody and let them do all the big chunks for you. And that can be the difference between barely being able to afford a home that you want, instead of working for 6 months ahead of time. And now you're in a whole new category where you can afford homes that are closer to your dream homes. How are things going for you this year? Do major economic stories affect people and their credit scores? Because obviously with the tariffs and the stock market and all that, there's a whole bunch of people that are just huddled up in the corner hiding.
Yeah. It's right now, my phone's ringing, and it's everybody. It's the people making a lot of money, and just the average American, right? So it's everybody. And everyone seems to be using their credit card a lot more than they thought. So,
I've seen those numbers. They're scary.
Yeah. So, yeah, it really is. And, you know, it's just, for all of us, we have to just stop and put a plan together. And, you know, I do believe, and you keep saying this, your unicorn team, I believe it's who we surround ourselves with, right? So same with this world when it comes to how to buy a home, how when you're budgeting, when you're when you're working on your credit, your accountant, you know, you need that dream team and who you surround yourself with to get to the right people to have it figure outable, right? Like, it's something we didn't think. We didn't know there'd be a pandemic in our lives, right? We didn't know after. Now we're having this student loan crisis that people are having to pay, and they haven't been paying at all. There was no baby steps back into this. So we have to just gather and you know, figure this out, put a plan together. Maybe we have to adjust things. Maybe we are not, you know, doing the same things that we wanted to, or maybe we are taking those extra projects for more income, whatever it may be. We just have to be realistic about it during these times. And yeah, the phone's ringing a lot, and it's really, a lot of it is not paying the bills. It's the credit card. It's starting to rack up, and they're not sure what to do.
Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah. The numbers, I this morning I watched a video with someone giving some current update, and the graph blew my mind. Yeah. Can't remember the number off the top of my head, but let me just tell you, it was like little hills and then a mountain.
Yes.
As far as how much people are using their credit cards right now. Some people are calling it a recession indicator, in that much credit card usage means that there isn't as much expendable and extra funds that people have in their lives, or they're stretching, or they're just scared.
Right.
And they're putting stuff on their credit card and keeping the money in the bank. The moral of the story is that dream team, it doesn't mean you have to, you know, hire somebody and pay them tens of thousands of dollars to fix your problem. It means hire a dream team to show you all the options. You can Google it, and that's going to give you one or two things, when the reality is it's probably a couple dozen things. But speaking to those experts, that's what's going to change, and that's what's going to move the needle. And if you're just putting money on a credit card or you're just ignoring things, that problem is only going to build up in the background.
Right. And you know what? You said something about Google, and I'll have to say, I'll never forget that one time I called my attorney, right? And I asked a question, and I said, well, I just want to let you know I did Google. And she said, well, first of all, Google didn't go to law school. Also, did you put in what state you're talking about? Again, I was like, oh, yeah. And when they looked at my contract that I needed them for, of course, I'm dealing with my New York lawyer. They're like, well, Jeannie, this is for Utah, so we have to send it to the Utah law firm. They're like, so I'm glad and it is the truth. And also, the other thing, David, I feel like when you're with a community where I've been through it, you've been through it, others are working on the same thing you want, it just feels good. That's why you like walking with a friend or going to the gym with a friend. We like that partnership. We like not feeling alone. I want everyone to feel empowered and not feel bad about their credit. And so I think I always am saying, come over here. It's safe over here. You're going to feel good and don't feel bad about it. We all mess up. It's okay. We've got you. And time heals all wounds, and it does on your credit report too. So, it's just, we just got to get together and put a plan together. That's all.
Awareness is the key to avoid the horror stories.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why you and I have connected so often over the years. And I had someone on last month who is, believe it or not, a moving specialist. That person exists.
Yeah.
She's moved 22 times. And we talked a lot about how to help people. But the second interview I did with her was about how she got scammed. There are moving companies that come to your house, put your stuff, and then they take it and they don't deliver it. And there's an FBI, there's some bureau. She did the acronym for it, like the Federal Moving WeGotYourAss.com or something. I don't know. It's kind of like the FDA. There's a moving fraud division.
Wow.
And just knowing that is already put the peace of mind to so many different people. Mm-hmm. And again, you're not going to type into Google hey, I'm about to move. What's the worst thing that can happen? You're going to type in tips for moving. And just like if you write in tips for credit score, it'll give you some great things. But it's not tips for David Sidoni's personal credit score. And this is all his drama and all the things he has going on. And by the way, next month, he's probably going to put $10,000 on that credit card.
Right.
You being able to dig through with the empathy, the compassion, but most importantly, the expertise. I mean, I'm a numbers geek. And every time you and I talk, I learn something new. Once a week, creditreport.com. I have to go to GoDaddy and buy that right now. Weekly, once a week.com.org. Check. Find out what's going on with your student loans, and then start getting that early. FICO's 245 for mortgage, so don't believe what's on your credit Karma app or what's on your bank. And we want to make sure that we're doing everything we can to build everything up. And if people have questions, you can come to me and ask me. If you're looking directly for the Credit Genie, I don't do this for anybody. Where do people go find you?
JeanneKelly.net. And you spell my name JeanneKelly.net. And I'm mostly on Instagram, Credit Genie.
Credit, Jeanne. We'll put that in the show notes. Awesome. It's one of my follows, and I follow like 80 people. So
thank you.
Because it's information and it gives me stuff. I'm talking to people all the time who come to me. And like I said, we're sending lots of people to you. I get so excited when people reach out to me and say, I don't even think I'm close to ready. What can I do with my credit? Because then I can get them started. And
right.
We're 6 years in now. We're getting people who have been talking to unicorns for 4 years and closing on homes this year.
Oh, nice.
That's the way we do it.
Right. Exactly. And then there's people, right, David? I spoke to someone today and she's like, I know my credit's a mess. It's horrible. It's horrible. And I'm like, I look at it. I'm like, okay, so you do know that this is not horrible.
Yeah.
Like I understand that you're, like it was a 680 FICO. So not horrible. She's like, I'll never get a mortgage. I'm like, okay, you could get a mortgage now. Of course, I know that, you have time. So let's get you into those 700s. But see, like they don't know.
680 is beyond. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
And it's not knowing everything about something. It's not your responsibility to go and figure it out. It's your responsibility to find the best people who help people in your situation. So, Jeannie, dreamy Jeannie and the dream team. We gotta make the dreams come true. I know. That's new. That just came out. A little wordy. I'm going to work on it. I was just so excited about the dream team. So, this is great. So, follow Jeannie on Instagram because I do, and it's good stuff. If you have questions, reach out to JeanneKelly.net, or you can reach out to me and I'll get you immediately in touch with them. And I just send you people. Has nothing to do with...
I know, just kindness.
It has nothing to do. It's just, I want people to succeed.
Yeah.
So
we appreciate you so much, David.
Thank you so much for your time.
Oh, yeah. This was so much fun. I can't wait to come back.
As usual. And I need to make sure that, that's something I put on this side. I'm going to come visit you because my kids go to school in New York.
Woo! Okay. So, I'm ready.
And trust me, the visit is going to be twofold. It's going to be one, my kid's going to school in New York. Cool, I'm here. Two, my kid's going to school in New York. I can't afford it. Help me fix my credit. That'll be the next thing.
We'll go to a Yankee game.
Oh my gosh. Bucket list. I love it.
What?
Thank you, Jeannie.
All right. Bye.
Bye. There you go. That's it, people. Some current information that you need to know about credit surprised the heck out of me. Annualcreditreport.com, which is really weeklycreditreport.com, but that's not the actual URL, so don't type that anywhere because I'm going to buy it from GoDaddy. The ability to be able to talk to somebody who can help you, whether you're in desperate need of help or just looking to get a little edge up. It's not about reaching out to someone because you need to do this thing exactly right now today. It's about reaching out to someone when you don't need it, not waiting for that trigger, but ahead of time to prepare yourself so that whatever you're doing in life, if you're thinking about fixing your credit score so you could buy a car or get better rent somewhere, or potentially start to begin your process to buy a home, understanding that the time is the most important factor. It's crucial because you need time to build your credit score when you're doing all these little changes. So thanks again to Jeannie. In the show notes, I'm going to put all the places where we have other credit episodes. It's in the 10 steps to buy a home. It's episode 304. It's right there. And you can go all the way back to episode 64 when Jeannie and I did this the first time. There's so many things that you can do. And we just want to make sure that you're getting a leg up every single way that you can. Because with a little bit of help and a little bit of guidance, there's one thing we know over here. You can do this.
Looking for more DIY education or your own personal step-by-step guidance through the home buying journey? Since 2019, How to Buy a Home has been the #1 resource for first-time home buyers. So visit howtobuyaHome.com to get started.